There's definitely a lot of excitement within the Real Madrid fan base, and why not? The club is very much close to securing the services of Paris Saint-Germain star Kylian Mbappe. The Frenchman is likely to join Los Blancos when his contract at Parc des Princes expires. The France international's arrival is definitely going to shake things up at the club that is set to truly become a global force once again. Things are definitely not going well for Sergio Busquets at Barcelona, with the veteran midfielder struggling to showcase the qualities that made him such an immense part of the club's history a few years ago. Reportedly, Sergio Ramos is not getting along with Mauricio Pochettino and his staff at PSG, with the Spanish international not enjoying the sort of leadership role that he was accustomed to during his time at Madrid. Things are not going well at Marseille, with several members of the club's starting 11 not happy with the choices made by manager Jorge Sampaoli. Before we get started, we want to share the sponsor of today's video. The OneFootball app is the ultimate football platform and is a must-have for every football fan, so that you can follow all of your favourite leagues, teams and players all the time right from your phone. You can be sure to turn on notifications for specific players to be instantly alerted when they score a goal or when they're involved in other breaking news. It is the best and easiest way to stay up to date with everything football. Click the link in the description down below to download the app right now. You won't regret it. It is very difficult to judge the season Olympique de Marseille are having at the moment. On paper it's pretty good, with the team in second place in the league, but for many there is still a bitter aftertaste due to promises not completely kept in terms of play and a relatively feverish level against the other big teams in the championship, like the 4-1 defeat against Nice in the Coupe de France a couple of days ago. There are also some issues that are beginning to create tension, such as the Alvaro Gonzalez case, who's not in the Argentinian coach's plans. The daily L'Equipe explains that the choices of the Argentine tactician are starting to annoy players, and that the Spaniard is one of the victims, having not received an explanation for his disappearance from the starting lineup. Veteran custodian Steve Mandanda found himself in a similar situation, only learning of his role as a substitute against Monaco a few hours before the start of the match, and no longer receiving any explanation for his downgrading in the hierarchy. Some internally are of the opinion that the French goalkeeper should have deserved more respect and transparency, rather than facing an ambiguous discourse reinforced by the sometimes elusive attitude of John Pasqua, the goalkeeper coach. There's a lack of man management from the coaching staff, at least in the eyes of the locker room. The newspaper also points to other problems, regularly highlighted by supporters, such as an offensive animation that is sometimes too predictable and which depends only on the strokes of genius from certain individuals. Some players are even surprised at the little work done in training on this side. During the Catalan derby, the Blaugrana midfielder once again had an outing to forget. Fundamental, essential. This is how Xavi views his former teammate. However, it is clear that the great Busquets is well past his prime, and it isn't something that just happened. On Sunday evening again, the defensive midfielder was on many occasions in great difficulty. This is already obvious on the offensive sequences, where his role is no longer limited to ensuring more or less clean transmissions without breaking lines, but especially when the team is defending. More and more, his opponents manage to find spaces behind his back to serve their attackers. Those who watched the game against Espanyol on Sunday evening can clearly attest to that. Sergi Darder took advantage of the increasingly obvious shortcomings of the La Roja player to distinguish himself and shine. It should also be noted that Busquets is having more and more difficulty in being defensively astute, which is fatal for Xavi's team at a time when more and more La Liga teams are playing in rapid transition. From there, to say that Busquets is a burden on the team is being too nice. More and more, fans are starting to cringe over his constant inclusion in the starting 11, and Xavi's insistence has not been ignored. Against Espanyol, Busquets played the entire match, while De Jong was subbed off quite early in the second period, even though he didn't have a bad outing. The hypothesis of seeing the Dutchman take the place of the Catalan in front of the defence had often been mentioned by the media and the Barcelona supporters, but it obviously didn't even cross the mind of the Barcelona coach. This is enough to revive the debate within the locker room. The sacred cows who are privileged and practically untouchable, with Busquets at the top of the list, but also Jordi Alba and Gerard Piqué. If Busquets can possibly still be useful when the team has a very pronounced possession against a less dangerous rival, it is clear that he's out of sync with the dynamics of the team, both when it comes to defending and when it's about attacking. This is a difficult thing to manage for Xavi, and which is likely to really start to annoy more than one player at the club. For now, the local media remains quite lenient with him, not overwhelming him more than that, but the situation could quickly change. While you're watching this video, PSG will have already played the first leg of their Champions League round of 16 game against Real Madrid, a club Sergio Ramos represented with great distinction. And while Ramos might not be in the squad for the game, his name is on everybody's lips due to his close association with Los Blancos. A lot of outlets in Spain believe that Ramos harbours the ambition of representing Spain at the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. However, there are issues in France, such as Lionel Messi, whose arrival at Parc des Princes has irked him. He is not comfortable in Paris. He was the leader and the absolute reference in the Real Madrid locker room, and now he is just one player among others at PSG, slips one of his relatives to the newspaper. Having struggled to mourn his departure from Casablanca, where he spent many years, the Iberian Daily also seems confused by the functioning of the PSG medical staff. He's being treated by different physiotherapists. He doesn't like that, explains one of his close friends, before continuing, besides, he doesn't trust them. The tone is set, but that's not all. One of the relatives simply explained that relations with Mauricio Pochettino were, at best, cordial. He does not get along with him, sends this source, specifying that this lack of feeling did not prevent the two parties from living together in a completely professional manner. This, however, is one more stone in the garden of the PSG tactician. Meanwhile, it has been said that PSG did entertain the possibility of a player swap deal involving striker Mauro Icardi and the former Arsenal captain Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. The Gabon international's relationship with the club turned sour at the tail end of last year, and he was eventually released from his contract to sign for Barcelona. However, it is being said that Mikel Arteta was offered a chance to sign Icardi, but the Spanish tactician passed up on it since he wasn't convinced about the move. It's only a matter of time before we get an official confirmation regarding Kylian Mbappe's future. The France international is set to sign for Real Madrid in the summer, and while the player hasn't really said anything about this, it is clear that he no longer wants to pen fresh terms at Parc des Princes. Mbappe's arrival is going to be a massive thing for Real Madrid. The young forward still hasn't reached the peak years of his playing career, and the manner in which he's been performing over the last 3 years show that Mbappe is a true Galactico. Florentino Perez sees the 22-year-old as the crown jewel of the next version of the Galacticos, who will be aiming to conquer Spain, Europe and beyond. It is clear that the youngster's arrival is going to change a lot of things at the club. We expect him to form a great partnership with players such as Vinicius Jr., and it wouldn't be wrong to assume that Mbappe's arrival might also spell the end of Karim Benzema's time at the club. Mbappe will bring fresh ideas and more incision in the final third, something that the club has been lacking in abundance since the departure of Cristiano Ronaldo all those years ago. More than that, Mbappe will be expected to be the poster boy for Real Madrid, and anything the club achieves in the coming years will get him closer to winning the Ballon d'Or award, something that's been prophesized for ages. At the same time, Mbappe's arrival will only make it easier for the Spanish league leaders to attract the best players on the planet. While Real Madrid as a club have ample star power, the presence of Mbappe is only going to amplify it further. While a lot of people will be looking at Mbappe's arrival at the Santiago Bernabeu with great envy, we can't help but be excited about it. Of course, there will be a period of acclimatization for all parties, but we're feeling very confident when we say that the Frenchman is going to quickly settle down in his new surroundings and guide Madrid to yet another era of unprecedented success.